Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Phone Call. I'm your host, Miss Camille. This is my brother from another mother, Mike Diamond. He's back. Love him or hate him. Here he is.
Hey, look, here on Phone Call, we talk about all hot topics, everything from the hottest to the coldest, and we focus on the perspectives between men and women, our similarities and our differences. Every single week, we're going to have a different guest join us, but this week, we have three beautiful ladies. We have Miss Keisha, Nelsia, and Lisa. Say hi to the world.
Hi.
Y'all.
Miss Camille, thank you for bringing us back for another episode. What are we talking about
today? Today, we are going to talk about something really that needs to be talked about. It is, what do you expect from a friendship? What's a friend to you? What do you think a friend is?
Nelsia, in your own words, what do you think friendship is? What do you think a friend is?
I'll keep it short. A friend really is someone that is reliable, ride or die. You know, I'm not looking for someone when the going gets tough. It's like, I'm going to ghost you. I'm out. Yeah. I need someone that's there with me through the thick, the thin, happiness, sadness. It doesn't matter what it is. A friend will check me when I'm wrong. I don't need a friend that's going to be, is a yes man. I need a friend that's going to be able to be honest with me and be able to hold me accountable, and vice versa. If they can do for me, I can do for them. That for me is a
yes, that definitely, yes.
I want no fake friends. I need a real friend.
Please, no fake friends. Right. If you don't want this type of relationship, honey, me neither. Mm-hmm. Me neither.
I wasn't expecting so soon to get a mic drop like that. You don't want to agree with you all the time. You want somebody that's going
to let me push back.
Right. Okay. Lisa, what about you?
I'm ready.
Lisa, what about you? What's a friend to you?
A friend to me is like a sister, somebody who could get on your last nerve one day and the next day you're going to have tacos. You have such a deep level of trust for them, and for that reason you're willing to work through whatever issues come up. Mm-hmm. That's what I would think.
Okay. And Keisha?
So what I expect from my friendships are like loyalty, respect, consistency, and to feel like someone is ultimately like on my team. Like if I hear somebody say something about you, it's not even a conversation. It's like,
right.
It's we're deading that conversation. Like that's my friend. So
if whatever you don't like them, we don't like them.
Yeah.
You feel like that's how it is though? Because I feel like sometimes you have mutual friends, and if my friend doesn't like him, it's like, well, he don't like him, so I don't like him either. When the other friend didn't do anything to you, I'm like, I still remain friends with them. And then I find people like upset with me, like, well, why are you their friend? I'm not talking to them. I'm like, because I just go based like on what they did to me. Do you guys feel that way too, or is it just?
Yeah, I've always thought it was a little weird when I have beef with somebody right away that I never met, because it's like, well, what did our mutual friend tell you about me to make you feel this way before you even met me?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Right.
So go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna further explain that, like, I don't get offended when other people do that, but like for me, like if someone has done, it depends on the context of what I've had someone who is known for being a homewrecker, and she wasn't my friend. She was someone else's associate. Mm-hmm. And when the lady told me the situation, I said, oh, well, fuck her then. None of us are cool. Right.
Right.
So it just depends. It just depends. I know I didn't get to know her. I think I felt like, maybe in time down the road, but it was a little bit too soon for me to get to know somebody with those type of character traits.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that means you believe that birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I definitely don't appreciate like people infringing upon other people's marriages. So I think that's not cool.
Yeah, well, you don't usually see gym rats hanging out with crackheads, so.
He gotta go there, y'all.
Yeah. If somebody messes with my husband, we're all no longer friends with that person anymore.
No,
right, all of us.
Circumstantial, like same for me. Like if that's what it is. So I feel like with me and how I feel about friends is I just feel like I give so much into friendships. If I'm your friend, just know that I love you through everything, no matter really what they say about you, who you are. I try to find the better in people. And so with that, I'm like, sometimes I feel like it's good. Other times I'm like, here I am giving somebody all this in a friendship. And then in return, they can, ghost me in 10 seconds or leave our friendship without me knowing, or, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, what kind of friend is this? This is not the type of friend that I thought I had. So I'm like, do we talk about that uncomfortable conversation like you do in a relationship, like from the beginning? Are you looking to be long-term friends, social friends, friends for a minute? Like, I feel like, do we talk about that?
Well, I think a similar vetting process should go into finding friends as you do a life partner, right? You should be asking questions as far as what do you do, what are you into, what do you see for yourself in the future. Conversations like that should be happening, even when you are with friends. Because look, I'm going to tell you a funny story, man. When I was 18 years old, I had just gotten out of boot camp and I was going home for my first leave before going to my first duty station, right? And I ended up linking up with a friend of mine who introduced me to another friend, and that friend picked us up in the car to go to a club. Next thing I know, we're speeding, we running red lights. I'm in the backseat terrified because I just joined the Marines. I'm like, I can't get in trouble over this.
Right.
Come to find out the next morning, we was in a stolen car all night. That dude had stolen that car.
Yeah.
It was doing.
And your friend, so your friend didn't even just set you up.
Just set me up, right? And so that's what I get for hanging out with people and not really knowing who they are. You know what I'm saying?
So we should have this conversation. We should just say, like, in the beginning of a relationship, because people go, I know there's plenty of people that call me and it's like, oh my God, Kimmy, I've been talking to this dude, for like 3-4 months, and I know he's the one. It's going down. I'm like, well, maybe you should have that conversation. They come back to me like, I had that conversation. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, he said he really just wanted to continue what we're doing, and then we can, go ahead and just keep that going. And he liked everything about me, though. He just like, what?
Yeah, he ain't ready to buy the cow yet.
It was a whole situationship you were in.
He enjoying that milk. He ain't ready to buy the cow yet.
Yeah.
Well, I went ahead and thought ahead. I thought ahead to get the book definition of a friend so we could build on that. So, by definition, a friend is a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations.
So that's not even a friend then. So it said mutual. So like, that's how I feel like all the people that I've been calling friends, not all the people, because I love all of my friends, but I'm saying some of the friends that I felt like have done me wrong, it wasn't mutual. So I'm thinking we were friends. See, I was in a situation.
Yeah.
I was a friend of convenience. I was a friend when you needed me. I was never like that lifelong friend that I thought it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like a short term. So,
listening to that little asterisk where they say typically exclusive of sexual or family relations, that instantly makes me think of friend zone friendships.
Yeah.
And, it's not your friend if it's not a mutual agreement to platonicity. Like if that old boy is just waiting for his opportunity to get in there, that's not your friend. Just because he'll help you carry that couch upstairs when you move in, or loan you a couple of bucks when you down, the barber that'll cut your son hair for free because he like you. Like if he like you, that's not your friend just because you don't sleep with him.
Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just need to read the situations. Like if the same thing keeps happening over and over, like at what time do you draw the line,
Yeah, I feel like that's the problem. Because it's for me, I'm like, I don't know. It's so difficult for me to do that. And I know that, like, I hope I'm not alone. Maybe other people feel this way too, but I feel like it's so hard when you literally give your heart to somebody, and that goes for friendships, relationships, family, everybody. I'm like, I feel like maybe it does need to be talked about, because I feel like people like me with the heart that I have, I'm always hurting. They're out like sipping tea at Starbucks, doing selfies. I'm over here like, I wonder why they didn't call me. I don't know what happened. Like, I'm like, Can you tell people? Is it hard for you just to pick a phone or text them and say, you know what? I ain't feeling you today. And then I can move forward. I need closure. Does anybody else need closure? Because I feel like I need like the book closed. Like, you got to tell me.
You know what?
Unfortunately, like feel like I'm a ghost type person because I don't really feel like having drama and confrontation a lot of times. So that's I know that's not the healthiest way.
Is that just your friendships or relationships too? So you the person I'm talking about then. The person that just,
You know what? Most of the time, I will say this. I believe that most of the time, if I've ghosted someone, they kind of know why. You know what I mean? I've probably already communicated what my issue was, and it wasn't getting fixed the way that I felt like was necessary or in the time frame. And I was just like, I give up. But it's like I said, it's not the healthiest way of doing things. But I do think one of the key qualities of a friendship is reciprocity. And so, you know, when you're talking about reciprocity, you know, giving and taking, and for me, I don't see my friendships as give or take. I see it as a cycle of giving. And we should, you know, be able to be there for each other and support each other, not just emotionally, but, you know, other needs as well. You know, I might need somebody to help me assemble this thing I got from IKEA, like, you know, and you might need somebody to help you set up for a barbecue. Neither here nor there. Like it's a bond to where I feel like, oh, I say I have something going on. Well, how can I help? Or vice versa. You say you have something going on. Well, how can I help? Do you need something?
Right.
Should I bring some ice? That's to me what a friendship is about, is reciprocity.
So that closure part, so do you feel if you had a friend, so I know each friend you put them like in different categories. There's friends you can tell stuff to, there's friends, you know, you hang out with them just in social settings. It's all these different levels and divisions of friendship. But if you know that your friend is wanting that closure, you know their personality, you know them, you've known them for a lifetime, do you feel like it's important to just give them that closure, knowing you love them enough at one point or another to do that? Or do you just feel like ghosting is key? I'm asking for a friend. My bad.
Okay, so like I said, from my perspective, I've already discussed this issue, and it's not an eventual fade thing, like, oh, I eventually fade. No, like I cut off contact, and I've already discussed this with you, and I feel like it's not going to be resolved, and the same pattern is going to continue, and I don't feel like it's healthy for me. So I just try to, you know, stop the situation altogether. And if if someone says they need the closure, then I will give them the closure. I've had somebody approach me in line at the ATM before, like, what's up, we used to talk every day, you don't call me anymore. Like, seriously, approach me in person. I was like, oh, I didn't ignore that person. I said, hey, how you doing? And that person was like, forget all that. Why haven't you called me? We usually talk every day. Right? And I said, you know, and I was like, we're going to do this here in public, in the line at the ATM. And I was like, I said, I will unblock you and we'll talk about it later on. And we did.
Does anybody else feel that way, that you need closure, Nelsia?
I have a few things. I think the issue is, as women, I'm sorry, Mike, but I have to speak to this.
It's okay, girlfriend.
But as women, we go into these friendships believing that they're forever. You know, we're, you know, as little girls, like, oh, my BFF, and you know this, and you're my best friend for life. And as you get older, you come to realize that friendships don't always last a lifetime.
Thank you.
There's some people that are in your life for a reason, for a season. And then there are others that you might meet at the age of 40 or the age of 20, and that friendship can carry on for decades. Right. And, you know, I believe that if people are genuine friends, if they're genuine friendships, there should be some form of communication. I know for me personally, because I love hard and I give a part of myself in my friendships, in my relationships, that when they do end in a manner where there is no closure, it hurts. If it's a genuine friendship, you're going to feel some type of hurt, because that person, you bring them into your life. You know, they could be a godmother, a godfather. Like,
they become more like family. Yes, they are family. Right.
Yeah. You know, friends, you know, family you cannot choose, but friends you can choose. And I can speak for myself in certain situations where I know I had given myself, like, for this person's, you know, I'm not going to get too personal, their own issues in their personal life. And I was there through the thick and the thin. And when things happened to me, they left. And when I did confront that individual, the response was like, oh, I was going through something, but what about me? Like, I was there for you when you went through something, but when I needed you, you weren't there. And I also believe that you can have friendships as, like co-workers, you can become friends. Then you have friends, lifelong friends, or, in different dynamics. But for me, when I know I can sense that this is not a genuine friendship, or it's one-sided, I can respectfully have that conversation, and then I'm going to walk away.
Right.
You know what? There's a common underthread. There's a common underthread that I'm hearing, which is we want to be friends with people who have an equal and willingness to give, right? And I think it's important to understand that two givers very seldom become friends, and two takers very seldom become friends, because neither one of them has what the other one wants. Like, people who are givers, people who have big hearts that care about other people like that, a lot of times they're not looking for anything.
No.
They're happy just being somebody who can make your life better, right? And they're not really asking for anything. So they will usually attract takers. They have somebody to give to and make them feel good, and that taker has somebody to satisfy their needs, consume. And so that's with friendships and romantic relationships alike. So I actually have a question. Now that we've kind of laid out what we think a friendship is, what do you think is the biggest killer of friendships?
When loyalty is, when there's no more loyalty. Also, I think a big killer of it is when people lose communication. And I think that goes for friendships, relationships. When there's no communication and you're just like, I'm done. That's why I feel like, for me, closure is so important. So I'm not still in this space where I'm still like thinking we're friends, because I get busy in life. We all get busy. And so I'm not focused on this one particular person. But when I come back around for one reason or another, they can feel like, oh, well, she wasn't there for me. I really needed her. But for the most part, it's like the friends, when you say yes, 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 the second you say no, it's like they don't remember any of the yeses. Like, but I already said yes about, like, I'm saying no, like, this is just that one no. So then I'm the big, right. Thank honey. Then when the big heart comes and I'm like, what, and I wanted to know why and this and that, you can't locate them. So then they're like, oh, I'm good. Like, dang, really? Like, you forgot all my yeses?
Yeah. I've experienced that very, very recently. Longtime friend. And I was available for him anytime he needed it, like whatever he needed, I was there for him. And this one time he asked me to do something and I was unavailable. And just simply saying no that one time exploded a 20-year relationship. It was something that I never would have even had the potential to see if I was always available for him.
Right.
But that one time I wasn't available, I mean, he just had all of the meanest things to say, and like, it was really jacked up. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. But again, givers usually don't become friends with other givers. They're usually in friendships with takers.
I believe that, but
yeah, Mike, I gotta call you out on that. I gotta respectfully disagree. I think that it has to be a balance. So I don't want a friend that's like a vampire. Like, there's certain friends that think they're those folks in my life, but there's certain individuals where they have so much drama. When you speak to them, you're like, you get off the phone and you're just depressed.
Yeah.
I don't know who wants
they
that.
suck the life out of you.
Right? I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that I'm not going to be there for my friends when they're in need. But if you can give and you give and you give, you're there in the middle of the night, you're there at the first thing in the morning, you're there, and that person just takes and takes. So no, it has to go both ways. So
listen, you're not.
When I got to take from that person too, it's got to be a balance. It can't be one.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're not calling me out. I 100% agree with you. That's exactly what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, outside of what we say should happen, in a lot of cases, like, just think of how many people say, I just give so much in relationships and don't get it back. Think how many people we hear say that on a daily, weekly basis. It's because people that have those big hearts are not being friends with people who also have those kinds of hearts.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Lisa?
I just think it's hard to find genuine people out there in general. So maybe, I mean, that could be the reason.
That's kind of
'Cause
like, go ahead,
go
babe.
ahead.
No, fine. Go ahead.
No,
Yes,
that's
go
why I
ahead.
have very few friends because I only keep the ones close to me that I know I can like fully, deeply trust. If I don't feel that, then I don't really want a friendship with you. So I only have a handful of people that I call friends.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Hey, Lisa, while you have the mic, why don't you tell us what you think is the biggest killer of friendships?
it's a lack of trust. If I don't trust them, then I don't want to have anything to do with you.
Mhm.
Right.
Keisha, what do you think is the biggest killer of friendships?
I really think reciprocity is one of them. You know, when you feel like you're not getting enough back from that other person,
Yeah.
and like you feel like you gave so much of yourself and they weren't willing to do the same thing. I think that's the number one killer of friendships, usually from what I hear from other people.
Right. I just want to say hypothetically, let's just say we had a friend, right? And she was just the life of the party. People wanted to be around her, and you knew things about her that were just dark, and dirty, that if anybody else knew this about her, they would be sad. And let's just say you knew something that could potentially hurt another person. I just want to get greasy in it. I'm just wondering, do you tell that other person about this person, or do you let them find out themselves? Does that make you a bad friend when you're like, I'm not going to say nothing because that's not my business? Or do you give this information? Do you withhold it, or do you give it to the person that you feel like needs to know? Because I know in the past I've had information or found out stuff. I gave that person information. They got back together with either their partner or another friend, and then I was the enemy. So
Right.
how do you
You
guys
give it. I feel like you give it because once again, my friends are like sisters. If somebody's doing my sisters wrong, we're all going to jump that person. Like,
yes, Lisa.
so it's just the way that I look at my friends. So that's why I don't have just surface level friends. If it's a surface level friend, then maybe you keep that information to yourself. But since I look at my friends like sisters.
Oh, that's a good way to think about it. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa. It definitely depends on the friendship you have with that person. If it's a friend that I consider we have a wonderful relationship, it's an obligation for me to tell that person. I would feel horrible holding on to that information and not being a real friend. And then for them to find out later, like, and then to come and say, oh, you knew this, I'm willing to take the risk and telling and saying it to them and have mad at me, but I would tell them.
You would tell them. What about you, Keisha?
It depends. But if it's like one of my longtime friends, definitely gonna tell them all the tea. We talking, we spilling, we all shade, all tea over here. I'm like, girl, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something here. But like they said, if it's just a coworker or somebody that I consider just an associate, yeah, I'm gonna sip my tea and mind my business. That's what I'm gonna
do. Yeah, I think I say it depends as well. I'm assuming if I know something about this other person, that I might on some level be that person's friend too. And I believe that people grow and change and mature over time. And I know, like, if somebody didn't know me and had to hear somebody who knew me 20 years ago describe me, they might not want to be my friend today.
They would have
Not knowing the changes that I've made over the years and how much I've grown.
Right.
I'm a dad now when I wasn't a dad then. I'm a business owner now when I wasn't back then. So there's things that I consider today that I didn't consider at 20, 21 years old. You know what I mean? So in respect for just the potential to change, I would say I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and give this other person an opportunity to experience them as they are now, instead of me giving them preconceived notions and having them judging this person before they even get a chance to know them, because they very well might not experience any of that drama from before, right? But at the same time, that's why I say it depends, because if it's like my sister, I have two sisters, And if one of my sisters likes a guy who I've been friends with for a long time, no matter how much I love him, if I know he got a track record with, manipulating women and being a womanizer and things like that, he could be reformed all day long, homie. You could be good all day long. My sister is not gonna date that man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I gotta do to make sure it don't happen.
So it's just depending really on
it just really depends. But I do like to give people space to grow and change and respect them for those changes. I'm not somebody that hangs things over your head. So if I could tell, like in the last few years, you're nothing like what you were before, and you've learned your lessons in life, as we all do as we get older, then I'm not about to spoil that for that person. I heard a quote one time that says sometimes the biggest crime you could commit is reminding a person who's growing how small they used to be.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
That's true.
Yeah, because we all grow. But you never answered your answer to the closure part. Do you need closure?
Nah.
You don't?
Nah.
See, that's so good for people that don't. I'm like, gosh,
no,
why do I
don't
even
need
care? I just want to care.
You know what? I think
less.
What I need emotionally and what I know is good for me is two different things, right? Like emotionally, of course, I'm just as curious as anybody else as to why things aren't the way they used to be. However, logically in my mind, I know that who you are today is not going to be who you are tomorrow. Right. Sometimes it could be just as simple as you just don't like me no more. Right. And if that's the case, I can't control you. I can't control you. It don't always have to make sense. I don't need to have a powwow and a shoulder cry and all of that stuff. Just say, okay, well, now I understand you and you understand me, so we can go off into the sunset not being friends.
But what if you invested a lot in this person? Right. When you invest a lot in somebody, that's what I heard.
We're talking about friendships, not romantic relationships.
I feel like a friendship is kind of like a romantic relationship without the intimacy.
I can't see myself giving to any friend the way I give to my girlfriend. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
My girlfriend gets the best of me.
Yeah.
Like I said before, and you remember this from the last conversation, Lisa, the woman that's in my life does not get crumbs, right? Everybody else in the world, y'all can have a bad day at work and then come home and have a short fuse with your husband or your wife because you had a bad day at work. I don't do that. Like whatever.
You're able to turn it off and on. Not
whatever's
everybody
happening
can. It depends on how deep the conversation is. You want to try to turn it off.
I am not going to make her pay for a bunch of stuff she ain't have nothing to do with.
What do you think about that, Nelsia?
I agree with Mike. It's also hard. And I think sometimes we have to take into consideration if there are children in the household.
Yes.
Two adults, you can really sit down, unwind, have a glass of wine, I don't know, whisk, whatever. You have the couple to go ahead, girl, sip on that.
Two adults, you can have your wine and butt naked sex and just make up and get over it.
Yeah. It's easy. But I think it depends on the dynamics of that couple and the severity of like what the day was like. It's hard though. You could just be driving through traffic or, on your way home and somebody just cuts you off and, flicks the bird at you or whatever, You're allowed to get upset. And hopefully you could get home and your lady or your husband can just give you a hug and you're like, okay, let me just chill. I'm home. Yeah. I'm in my comfort zone. Right. Let's have a good night.
Right. Mm-hmm. You want that turn on. Yeah. I feel like that is really difficult, especially for like the giver people. So it's like you give yourself to your kids, you have your relationship, you give them you have your friendships, you're at work, like you're literally giving from all this space and like the time you want from yourself. Or when you're in a space, you know what I'm saying? When you're suffering from anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, you want that from that person or people that you give from, that you give to, you want that back in return. So I feel like, has anybody ever experienced that where you feel like the person you've been giving literally everything to, and then you're having a day and you want that from that person? I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that everybody is not my friend. I think I grew up with was told that a friend loved it closer than a brother, so love them like this, you love them like it's your sister, so I have that mentality. So I think as I'm getting older, I'm like, I don't even know if that's a good thing anymore. Like I need to be able to so having a lot of people in my life, I thought was like a good thing. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I literally am at this point where I'm like, no new friends. I don't know how people feel about it, but me, I'm like, or maybe the ones that I have, No, just kidding.
What you
No,
got
but-
Maybe you do need some new ones.
Mhm.
The other funny thing is I was raised the opposite. Coming from a large family, we were always told, if you need friends, you have your siblings. And I don't know, if, for me, I have a very close inner circle. I don't really let new people in because I feel like I love really hard. And when I call you a friend, I call you a friend.
Mhm.
And as a child, we were always taught your friends are your siblings, your cousins, and that sometimes too many friends cause problems. So I think I've always, I've had friends, but I've kept certain people at a distance because I don't know, it's hard for you to tell who's genuine, who's not, who's
Right.
fake, who's real when you
Right.
have so many people around you and you
Right.
can be blinded. So
Right.
I'm okay with my husband and my 3-year-old and my 18-year-old. I'm okay. I don't need
Right.
too many
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm learning. That's what I'm saying. I'm learning as I'm
Yeah.
older. I'm like, oh my God, here I'm thinking it's like good to give gifts. Like, no, I want to keep the little quantity of people. I don't even, the people that I have, I want to give so much to them that I don't even have time really for anybody new, because I want to actually give the people that deserve the better part of me,
Well, when I was growing up, we had a different apartment every year, different school every year,
Yeah.
right? I literally went to a different school every single year from 3rd grade until I graduated.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I never had friends for more than a few months at a time. And then I had to just, like, the closure was summer vacation was starting.
Yeah.
So it's time to reset. And so I think before I even became a man, I was already conditioned to the idea
Mhm.
of just getting the most out of my friendships in that moment, understanding that it was going to end. I always had an understanding that nobody was meant to be here forever. I'm 38 years old. I have one friend, that I know from high school.
Wow.
Just one. I haven't been back to my schools since I graduated.
Your schools.
Yeah. Like, how people like go back and visit their school and visit their teachers? Yo, Warwick High School, Denby High School,
then the military,
and then going to the Marine Corps, and then being stationed with certain brothers, and then they got to leave, or even in being killed. Like, I'm kind of glad I had the experience with friendship from before, because by the time I started losing friends in the Marine Corps and my brothers was dying, I was able to go through that shedding very few tears, because I was already used to the idea of friendships not necessarily lasting forever. I do want to make a pivot though. So because we're talking a lot about the giving heart. We have to be careful with, like, genuine givers who want to help people versus givers who think that giving gives them some kind of control over the other person.
Leverage.
The
Leverage.
person who gives,
Yes.
they give just because they know one day they're going to need something.
Right.
So they want to take away any excuse for this person not to do something back.
Right.
That's not the same kind of giver. So I think a lot of times when we deal with the disappointment of not getting the reciprocity that we're looking for, it's because we feel like they owe us.
Right. See,
if you're giving, it should be just because they needed it, not because you feel like they owe you one. Like they got to balance the record sheet.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. I was trying to say that without saying that the person would owe you something. I'm just simply saying, like, and I feel like, just for me, I'm the type of person that when I am down, you really won't know. There's probably like one or two, I'll just call my husband, or I'll just, just sit in that space for a minute and then get better. But when I do call you, it's because, like, I'm in that space. And I feel like the people that are close to me, that. So that that's not my character to even call you. I'm more of like, oh my God, I can help you. Like, let me save the world, So if I call you, just be there. And if it's not for you, just say, you know what? I no longer want to be there when you call me only once or twice every 5 years. For help.
Not 5 years.
And it's funny you said that though, because that friend from high school, just this last few months, we've been talking like every couple of weeks, but this is the first time since high school that we've been like this.
Yeah.
We usually will check in every year, every 2 years. Hey, how you doing, brother? Blah, blah, blah. I got kids. I got a wife now. I got this going on. And we'll stay on the phone for 5 hours, like just completely fuck off work and all of that stuff, just to completely get caught up and be like, we should do this more often.
Right.
We always say that.
You always say that.
And then you don't.
You don't even call
And
it.
then we never call each other.
You're still okay. You both are.
But
you
the love
both
is
know
there.
the love is still.
The trust is there.
Exactly.
I give them a
friendship
shit
with
off
a
my back.
foundation. That's like that friendship. And I definitely have one of those friends from college, freshman year of college. And I can go months without speaking to her. But the moment I pick up that phone, I think I talk until my phone goes dead. Like that's ours. Same thing, Mike, that relationship. And I tell, we're so bonded, we're so connected with each other that we have a respect. We understand life is happening. You know, she's a mother, she's got 3 kids, you know, she's got her career, life is happening. So we both understand that when we do get that free moment where we could devote to a conversation for hours, you know, my husband knows to leave me alone. He knows to take the child, like I'm locked in the basement, you know, like don't bother me. This is my girl time. And when I end those phone calls, I feel so fulfilled. I'm just like, you know, if I could hug her, I would go hug her because I have that bond. And I feel like everyone needs to at least have that one person. Everybody should have one in your life to be able to feel that connected to, you know?
How do you feel about that, Keisha?
There was so much like said that I wanted to talk about. When Mike mentioned a person that gives to get something in return, I was just thinking that's just a tool of manipulation. That's not really like a person trying to be a friend. And so I don't consider that person really a giver.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they'll hide behind the fact that they gave you something to cover up the fact that they're really just trying to use you.
Right, absolutely. And like when I was talking about like giving and taking, I don't think I was talking about tit for tat usually. It's about like just energy in general. Like, you know, when I have a friend like that I stopped talking to because I felt like every time she had something going on, I could be there for her, take time out to like talk to her and talk her through it. And then like I felt like I needed it a couple of times and she kind of dropped the ball. And I was just like, man, I really thought you would be the one to do that, you know? And it wasn't because I listened to her at midnight and took the time out. No, it wasn't because of that. It was because matching energy. That's basically, So but Nelsia's point about you know, not wanting to be around vampires, you know, and being sucked dry. I was like, yeah, absolutely. But it's really tough. Friendship is about like not being selfish. And we have so many selfish people in the world. And that's probably like the number one issue is that people aren't willing to actually, you know, think of somebody else outside of what they can get out of the situation.
Like no
right.
Yeah. Oh my God, I don't even want this conversation to end. I'm like, this is a perfect phone call. I love it. So we are going to have to wrap up in just a second, but I wanted to thank each one of you guys for just, you know, sharing your stories and your truth about it. But
thank y'all.
I know I'm glad that you guys are my friends, you know, like I need a friend. No, I think that we get older and we learn that really what friendship means. And I think that we try to teach our kids, if you have any, or just people that you know, to try to be the best that they can and not really expect stuff from people and still be, I feel like it's good. Every story that you guys shared, I'm like, I can relate to a little bit of each. So thank you so much. And I wanted to say that I will see all of you people out there. I want YouTube, please leave your comments, share your thoughts. Let us know how you, here comes, we in the shade. I see the shade. No, yeah. No, don't be shady in the comments. Please don't talk. Even if they're slightly shady, we'll take those too. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us in this phone call until you know.
And make sure you like this video.
Yes.
Subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can know when the next video is coming out. We're going to be doing these every Sunday.
Yes.
Which means you'll see the video every Monday.
Yes.
So like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, share the video with your friends if you want them to get in on the conversation. And of course, we love you all.
We love you. Until next time. Thank you guys so much.
Peace.
Bye.